Part 5. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 42. Chapter 41. You're the one behind them. The tall soldiers stood in front of Yekong, and the guy looked down at Yekong with a slight tone of authority. Yekong didn't expect a small gangster to dare to show him off, even if his eighth master was once looked down on in Yefu, but outside, this has never happened, and the eighth master Yefu is still very can bluff people. Yekong Kong was displeased, leaned to his side, his eyes didn't even look, and he snorted, "Who are you? Who will not install B? Who's afraid of anyone? Buddies will pretend to be better than you when you are on Earth." The gangster was not annoyed. He held his hands behind his back, looked up at the sky, and pointed Yekong with a pair of nostrils. It was like saying, "Friend, if you do NT call it B, let S call it B." Wu Yi didn't speak, and immediately followed Xiao Yi to Yekong's ears and whispered, "Master, Master, this is the new iron service leader of our city's Xiaofu. It is the confidant brought by our Master Chen." Well, Taiji was extremely dissatisfied with his subordinate's introduction. Xiao Yanyi hurriedly replied, "For the sake of integrity, our Taiji division is ill-fated, and martial arts are high. Okay, don't say more about my official style. In the future, the gangsters of the southern capital will know about it." Tai Yanji waved his hand with great authority and said to Yekong, "You is Yetu in the capital city of Nandu oppressing the common people's fish meat town?" Yekong was so annoyed that Lao Tzu couldn't get through the door. This is too upside down nonsense. A big hat of Tai Yanji bluffed Yekong, and he was so proud of it. Actually, he came here today to find the difference. He wanted to beat these places, and when he saw Yekong as a child, he felt a little contempt. At the same time, in a lecture room on the second floor of Zhangchun building, a pair of masters and servants were lifting down the curtains to watch. The master was a majestic middle-aged black man with a slightly fat body and his hands behind his back. Legwenwei is full, at first glance, he is an official. And standing next to it was an old scholar, his appearance was thin and cumbersome. At this moment he was shaking a folding fan and laughed, "Master, this old iron has a good playing hand. When I came up, I just sat on the real name of this boy. It will spread in the future, and everyone knows that he is less evil, and less evil is less. Haha, Master Xiao, you do nt know if you are an official. This strategy is for you to teach the old iron, good plan, good." The black face observed upstairs is Chen Qingfang, the new Nanduchan defender. This man is famous for his whole body, and went to the sea by the official who overthrew him. The people of Angguo, no matter whether you are a corrupt official or a clean official, as long as the official is rectified, they will be psychologically balanced and happy, so one or two away, this Chen Qingfang even exudes Chen Qingtian's good name. This Chen Qingfang was sent to the southern capital. The emperor's purpose was clearly revealed. In Earth's words, it was the whole black material of Harem. Chen Qingfang is also very skillful in the whole person. He deeply realized the meaning of the emperor and came to the southern capital with great confidence, but he found that it was not easy for Harem. The Ye family has a good reputation in the southern capital. People still think that General Ye is good at destroying the barbarians, and the children of Yefu's family are very strict in education, and there is nothing excessive. Chen Qingfang was in the middle of a tiger and a hedgehog. Yekong appeared. Yesterday's rally. Chen Qingfang knew that the news was a little late and didn't catch up. After he knew about it, he found out that the Fan Zhuolong family who was killed was not a good person, and there was great grievance among the people. Yekong and others were regarded as punishing evil and promoting good. He wanted to intervene that day and put on the other party a hat that abused lynchings, but he didn't think it was time to face the Ye family. After all, Ye Harem hadn't fallen. If there is no room for maneuver, Chen Qingfang can bear it, but with a guilty conscience, he comes to Tibet Chunlu to find a girl to spend the night in order to adjust his mood. Who knew that early in the morning, As soon as they were about to leave, they met the Lu family brothers, Lu Changqing and others. As soon as Chen Xingfang inquired, he was overjoyed and had the opportunity to take advantage of this to test Yefu. So he wasn't in a hurry to go back, and he was also called by the Iron Master and Master. Hearing the Iron Hats on Yekong's hat, he was overjoyed. As long as everyone in the southern city knew the name of the evil, he could give Yeharan a crime of slain, evil and bad on the secret recital. But Yekong can make people hold a urinal on his head, and lifted his head back with a word. Suppressing the people, in Ura Township, I don't know if there is evidence for Taijiansi to speak, Yekong asked back. The Kangnan continent does not have any concept of the rule of law. Generally, what the government officials say is what it is. Taijiansi snorted Yekong with his nostrils, dismissing, no evidence, my official heard, how are you doing? How am I going? Yekong he smiled, his complexion slumped, you are so yellow, don't blame my buddies for beating you. After that, his shot was like electricity, papa, and his two mouths fanned over. The Iron Warrior was also a master of martial arts, but he could not escape to Yekong's palm. Do you dare to beat my official? Taijiansi covered his bruised and hot face, and couldn't believe it. What kind of bird officer do you think of her mother? Yekong went up again on his crotch, and everyone cheered behind him. Cool. Master 8 is just cool, and I will mingle with Master 8 in the future. Shit, the bird officer who sprays dung. Nonsense, it's time to insult Master 8. In the building room, Chen Xingfang slammed the table and said angrily, be bold. Lawless. The master laughed, Master Emoji, this is a good thing to see from a young age, and the assault of the court officials in public, this proves the name of this child. Chen Xingfang pinched the long beard under his jaw, nodded and smiled, reasonably, this madness is really a self-death, and then said, if Taijiansi is smart, he should rush out of the building at this moment and let the onlookers watch. Look at Yefu's evil deeds. Of course Taijiansi was not so smart, but he still rushed out of the Tibetan spring house. Because the Ye family soldiers all shouted, take down this beloved girl and abuse the young man. Taijiansi did not dare to stay long, and rushed out of the building with a group of soldiers, but was stopped by the relatives guarding the door. At this moment, people were all around, and the people loved to watch a lively event. Yefu's relatives and Xianxia worked as soldiers. The location was still in a brothel. Everyone who heard the news flocked around and watched it lively. There are not many people gathered outside. It is not an exaggeration to describe people and people. The surrounding upstairs restaurants and tea houses are busy with business. Everyone spreads the news, watches the development of the things, and feels happy and cheerful. Take this puppet. Ask the Lord Xianxia how to discipline his subordinates. Yefu's soldiers roared and surrounded the soldiers. The crowd was so excited that they scared the soldiers. They all looked bitter. Bing brother, we are also official. General Lu, we have had drinks before, so let's expose it today. Yefu's soldiers were suffocated at these unscrupulous soldiers. It was so easy to expose it. Lu Changqing waved his hand. Go to your mother, I haven't heard you say that you have had a drink together, and you won it all. Just now Taijiansi's official arrogance did not know where he was going, he was about to be taken away, and his heart moved, and finally he had an idea asking the masses for help. Fathers and fellows. Did you all see that? Yeah, 8th Master Yekanda took his relatives, prostitutes, and corrupted the military discipline during the day. When I waited for a few words, I was beaten. These evils rarely beat the court. Officials, but also lynching, please folks to testify. Okay, Chen Xingfang, who stood at the window on the other side of Zhangchun Tower, patted the window again, yelling. The words of Lao Tai not only satisfies this boy's evil name, but also let everyone witness Yejai Jun's Gigi San scattered, ha ha, wonderful, The skinny teacher shook his folding fan and shook his head proudly. Chen Xingfang laughed, this Ye Jiamao kid has helped us a lot. Those iron watchers who watched the people look swollen into pigs' heads also commented, yeah, these soldiers are too arrogant. They thought that Ye Jiajian's discipline was strict and he loved people like children. That's it? Who said no? This is a prostitute who has been here for a long time. Also, how many of these soldiers are in the army? Actually, I have the money to come to Zhangchun Tower, I can't bear to come and check if they are corrupt. The people's discussion suddenly increased, and the louder the discussion, the louder the voices, all of them were in the deciduous family. Boy! Fight with me, you're still tender. Tai Yanxi covered his pig-like face, looked at Ye Kong proudly, and said, hit me? This is the price to hit me. Ye Kong was really angry this time. He hadn't said anything to pick up people. When he waved his hand, take all. The soldiers originally only shouted slogans, heard Ye Kong's order, and immediately rushed up like a wolf, struck 5, divided 2, and took off all the black clothes. Okay, Chen Xingfang applauded upstairs, without worrying about her being taken. The master also laughed and coquettishly said, this boy is too arrogant, knowing that the people already have opinions on Ye Jiajian, and he must act against the people's grievances, stir up the civil commotion, and see how he confesses. Leng Hong said, hey kid, I really don't know how to write dead words. Sure enough, the people saw the evil soldiers violently attacking the streets, and they all became righteous and angry. The voice of agitation grew louder and louder, and the crowds crowded forward. Seeing that it would cause public anger and stir up civil turmoil. But at this moment, Ye Kong suddenly screamed, please listen to me, Ye Kong. Ye Kong's vocal band has spiritual power, louder than the lion roar of the master of martial arts. It sounded like a thunder blast in midair, shaking the eardrums of the people at the scene. The chaotic scene was suddenly quiet and the scene was 10 million pairs. Eyes were staring at Ye Kong, waiting to see what he was going to say. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 43. Chapter 42. Violating the military discipline. When the streets are fierce, I want to see what this kid can say to help turn the tide. Chen Xingfang slammed the window frame again and hummed. What can Huangkao children who haven't grown up with hair say? Master followed with a scorn, and then sighed, Ye Harem really did martial arts, how old is this boy, and he has such skill. Not only was Chen Xingfang watching, everyone at the scene focused on Ye Kong, waiting for him to give a reasonable explanation. If the explanation did not satisfy everyone, it is estimated that the next wave of public opinion will be stronger. However, Ye Kong did not explain his behavior, but ordered people to enter the house and move out of a large table. The crowd didn't know what he was going to do, and they watched patiently. There were tens of thousands of people at the scene, and they all looked intently, watching the big table move out and put it in front of the Tibetan spring house. Lu Changqing, at this moment, Ye Kong roared again. The end is here. Stand up. Lu Changqing had full confidence in Ye Kong, and he didn't want to. He jumped on the big table, his feet were as wide as his shoulders, and his hands stood up. What is this? Chen Xingfang asked frowning. The master shook his head and guessed, must he punish his subordinates in public? This method can indeed solve the current crisis, but it still cannot change the nature of his public mischief, but he suspects that he will betray his subordinates at a critical time. Of course, Ye Kong didn't punish Lu Changqing, just listening to him and yelling again, remove the coat. Yes, Lu Changqing didn't hesitate, raised his hand and took off his shirt, tossed it to the table, and then stood with his hands upright. When everyone thought Ye Kong was going to punish the person in public, he listened to Ye Kong and asked, Lu Changqing, how many scars do you have? Honestly answer. The onlookers listened to this question, watched it with enthusiasm, and saw that Lu Changqing, who was shirtless, was indeed black, and white with scars and scars. I only listened to Lu Changqing's voice, back to Master 8. There are 86 scars on the body. Be loud, Ye Kong shouted. There are 86 scars on the body, Lu Changqing hissed and answered. How to get it? Back to Master 8. At the age of 15, the general has followed the general and has been in the 13th year, after 46 battles. Ye Kong yelled and interrupted, how to get it? Simple. Thanks to the barbarous enemy. Everyone heard it, and everything was uproaring. This is a hero. Wow, what is said is false. The scars of others are real. Without these sergeants fighting in blood, this place is still the prairie. Shouldn't it be bad for a hero to visit a brothel? The people have never enjoyed the blessings of Taijianxi, but they have always enjoyed the stable environment that Yejiajin brought to them. But this is not over, just listening to Ye Kong and roaring again. Next. Another sergeant stood up, standing upright except for his shirt. Name. Military. Wu Weiguo. Centurion. How many scars are on your body? 75. How many barbarians? Return to the 8th master. He is not talented at the end, but he is not good at learning martial arts. He has experienced more than 50 battles, and was wounded in each battle. A total of 572 were killed before and after the enemy. Wow, some people in the people group were surprised, and no one laughed at the surprised people. They all looked at this not so high officer with admiration. At the beginning, he said that he was not good at learning, everyone listened, and still muttered, was he really not good at learning, so that he was injured every time he went to the battlefield? Listening again to the number of beheadings, I was suddenly stunned. On average, 10 enemies were cut off every battle. This is where the academic skills are not good, this is the charge ahead, not afraid to die. The Kangnan continent regards the strong as the most respected, and worships such heroes who are not afraid of life and death to slay many enemies. Others worship it now. At present, the people respect the eyes of soldiers on the field. At this time Ye Kong asked again, Wu Weiguo, 572 pieces, you remember so clearly, are you bragging? Everyone heard it, yeah, is this guy bragging? After all, it's nothing to say. Wu Weiguo looked up and said loudly, return to Master 8, I remember very clearly in the military merit book, 572 pieces. If there is a word of falsehood, the end will be served with a human head. Really, it must be true, otherwise how dare you take the human head to guarantee it? The audience around them whispered again. Then Wu Weiguo said, Ye family military regulations. Those who do not cut 100 people shall not be called Ye family soldiers. Those who do not cut 200 people shall not be promoted to 10 captains. Those who do not cut 500 persons shall not be promoted to centurion. After Wu Weiguo shouted again, a group of Ye family soldiers shouted in unison, those who do not cut 100 people shall not be called Ye family soldiers. Those who do not cut 200 people shall not be promoted to 10 captains. Do not promote centurion. If the sound is raging, the sky will blow. The onlookers also heard the blood boiling, and there was an upsurge in their hearts. With Ye Kong's cry, long live Ye family army, all the people roared along. Long live Ye Jiajin. Slap, Chen Qingfang slammed the window box, snorted, closed the window, and sat back at the table angry again. The proud master just now could not help but nodded, Israel seeks approval, Master Ye family 8 is really high. Chen Qingfang drank his saliva and nodded. This child's ingenuity will be a serious problem in the future, but he can't do anything to him yet, he must be careful. Ye Kong still said below, all the fathers and folks, all of you have wives, but I thought that my Yejiajin man is also a man and needs it. When you hold Wen Xiang on the bed, you guard the sergeant. Still alone in the cold wind, be wary of the invasion of the barbarians. Soon, these hard-bodied men will again wear jerseys to enjoy the gentleness of the village. Is there a mistake? No, the people roared in unison. Ben asked them to come to Tibet Chunlu for consumption once, shouldn't they? Should. But someone has to take the opportunity to make trouble, and it. The people shouted in unison, damn. Kill them. Let these dogs go to the battlefield. Send them into the palace as eunuch. There is also a woman's voice mixed with it, General Lu, General, you are injured for the common people, but you have no wife or child. The little girl is willing to make a promise. The sergeants of the Ye family all smiled, and the brothers of the Lu family and their subordinates were also excited. These 8 masters are really powerful. This time it was so high profile that we all felt that it was not human to look at them for a while. I was so confident and right that I would follow the 8 masters and have a future. Only the Taiji division was so scared that there was no more official madness, and the chicken pecked like a confession. 8 Master 8 spares his life, and the young man has no eyes for Jin Xianxia, and offended all the military grandfathers. Of course, Ye Kong did not kill the Taiji division. After all, this is also a court official. If it is really killed, then it will be a disaster. Then Ye Kong showed Gao Fengliang's festival, and he begged for Tai Yan Si and others, which made the people even more amazed. After tossing down this morning, the Ye family's soldiers basically had no urge to spend in the Tibetan spring house. Lu Changqing and Wu Weiguo were on the scene, and they went to the elders with their girlfriends. The brothers of the Lu family didn't stay too much. They went back first to rectify the Dragon and Snake Gang to help the public. They were prepared to call the Dragon and Tiger Gang. Ye Kong was reluctant to serve as the leader. Then Lu Jun was the leader and Lu Yi was the vice. I went to Julong, and came to Lu Jun and Lu Yi. Those gang members did not resist at all. Anyway, life is the same as before. What makes them happy is that they know that they have a big backstage capable. Yefu 8 Masters. What? Don't you know Master Yefu 8? Then I have to tell you, I do nt know Master Yefu 8, you are out of date. Out? You are embarrassed to call yourself a southern capital. Ye Kong became famous in just one morning. No one in the city did not know the 8 masters of Yefu. Everyone was talking about the 8 masters of Yefu, even the people in Yefu. Talk endlessly. At noon, Yefu backyard, second wife's room. Xiao Hong was painting her voice to the second wife, telling her the news she heard. The second wife was shocked, and kept asking, really? He really said that? He is so good. Of course, all the house servants who went to buy food saw it with their own eyes. How can there be a fake? Everyone said that Yefu had an 8th master, and he must be the ancestor of Guangzhong in the future. Xiao Hong imagined Ye Kong calmly responding in the crowd. He shouted the order like a general, and his heart suddenly became alive. Thinking of Ye Kong's just playing with her, he couldn't help but want to get into trouble. But MRS number 2 groaned, this kid doesn't know what to eat. Not only is he not stupid, but he is smart. Master is now under house arrest in Beijing. The Ye family is likely to have a storm. Maybe there is this kid there, but he can help Yefu, block the disaster, and more importantly, even if this kid is good, his ugly mother they won't compete with me. But he is so public and high profile that he must provoke the new city to be unhappy. This boy violates the old man's command to leave without causing trouble, and must have a few words of caution. But this boy's temper is so bad, he said that Mao would be hairy. In case he said something, he jumped up again and backfired. His wings were hard. It would be bad if he forced him to leave Yefu. The second wife, who had always driven Ye Kong out of her duty, began to worry about him leaving Yefu after he showed excellent ability. When MRSER was in a dilemma, and was unsure of how to deal with it, MRS9 came and said angrily, this Ye Kong is so outrageous. He hits again. The second wife smiled bitterly. This temper is really bad. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 44. Chapter 43. This time it was the relatives of MRS9's hometown, the steward of the dining hall, and Sister Ma. In fact, Yekong is not bad-tempered. If you don't mess with him, he will sometimes forget it. Just like the steward Yesai, Gangfang Li, the fourth old man, and so on, he is very polite to Yekong, and Yekong has no plans to talk to them about the past. To be honest, he did not have the time to compare with these people. However, some people do not open their eyes and always think that they still have the ability and the backing, and you are not a big child. This matter has to start from Yekong's return. It was almost noon and Yekong returned from the outside. He was still very happy today. He killed the Fan family brothers, got treasures, kissed Luchin's little mouth, taught the Iron division, and was supported by the people of the southern capital. It's all good. Wow, why not be happy? Thinking that his mother was waiting at home, Yekong rejected all invitations and returned to the house alone. The family members who had been talking about it for a long time, greeted Yekong with enthusiasm. Master 8. Hey, Master 8, you're famous. Master 8 has given us a long face in Yefu, and it is also beautiful for us to go out. Yekong was very happy when he heard it. He briefly shouted a few words and threw a piece of broken silver. It's almost noon, my brother, and I will go to the bar after that. Yekong hurried back to his own courtyard. Chen Juniang didn't know about Yekong's adventures, so she didn't worry too much, but in the morning she heard that her son had a big move at the entrance of Zhangchunlu, and she didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, so she couldn't help worrying. Chen Juniang didn't do any embroidery work, waiting for Yekong to come back. When he saw Yekong, he scolded, "You stinky boy, how do you know to cause trouble all day? You said that when you went out of the city with friends, you went to Zhangchun Tower. What about? At a young age, I went to the greenhouse to learn how to move around." Yekong heard that the old lady was angry. She pressed Chen Juniang to sit down and helped her to loosen her shoulders and laughed, "Mother, you are wrong. My son didn't go to the Tibetan spring house to be happy. He was indeed in the city last night. If you have been outside, you can ask your daughter Ziokin if you don't believe me." Chen Juniang doubted, "Really?" "Of course, really, you can ask Lu Changqing, too. When they and Wu Yi consumed it, I just entered the city and was later pulled by them." Yekong said so surely, Chen Juniang no longer doubted it, but still shouted, "You are still young and you haven't married your daughter-in-law. You can't go to a place like Zhangchunlu. What's wrong with getting a dirty disease? Buddy is going to look for the unbroken King Gren, how could he get sick?" Of course Yekong wouldn't say so, but just nodded and agreed. Chen Juniang also said, "You're too old, and you're looking for a lady. Why don't you tell her everything, so you don't mess around outside?" Yekong was afraid of this, and quickly stopped, "Don't introduce it. Mother, I'm only 14. It's still early, me, I haven't developed well yet." Chen Juniang came out after hearing her son's words, covered her mouth and laughed, and said, "Actually, Ziokin is just fine." Yekong didn't answer and shifted the topic and said, "Ma'am, you don't know. Your son can be in the limelight today. No one in southern capital knows it. You don't see my scenery today." "What's the scenery?" Chen Juniang scolded, "I have heard that you guy is in the limelight, but do you know? You have offended the Chengshao adults and the gangsters completely. Beware, they remember today's Chu, I will find you in the future. They dare. They will be fine in the future. If you want to get back where you are, hey, then don't blame Ben Shaizai." Chen Juniang was afraid he would cause trouble again, and said quickly, "Forget it, Yuan and Xianxia will be satisfied, don't provoke trouble. The two talked for a while, and yet hungry was hungry, so they remembered having lunch. When they came to the cafeteria, the family members were naturally busy saying hello, and the words of respect and flattery were beyond expression, which made the stewardess Ma of the cafeteria unhappy. The people she was most despised by now are respected, and the family members are not looking around to order more food than she used to, but they are all rushing to dinner and sitting next to Yekong. Sister Ma was lost in her heart, and she didn't let up her mouth, but she also knew that Yekong was now getting better and his temper was not good, so she didn't dare to confront Yekong. So she carried a large bowl of vegetables and walked to the other corner of the dining hall, adding a spoonful of vegetables to some of the family members who were unfamiliar with Yekong. Those couples were flattered and laughed. Sister Ma is so good today, did he take the initiative to add food to us, is there a happy event? Sister Ma squinted her eyes and looked at Yekong, and said angrily, how can there be so many happy events? Unlike some people, happy events, not even looking at them like a fly. At first glance, those family members were dissatisfied with Yekong. They didn't dare to cause trouble and kept silent, and Ms. Ma was even more angry now. Well, why don't you come up to please? The old lady's dishes are fragrant, but for flies, is more attractive. Sister Ma had scolded everyone in it, and one family member couldn't help but say, Sister Ma, how can you say that, we are all eating, and shit, I will vomit. Sister Ma snorted, and looked at Chen Juniang's face again, smirking, say what are you afraid of, is your stomach so shallow? People look at the ugly face like shit, they all taste very good. Look at that face, just it's like sticking a poop, haha, it was overnight. Sister Ma didn't dare to speak loudly, but Yekong's ears were surprisingly good. If he couldn't hear it, it wouldn't matter, but when he heard it, the matter wouldn't end. He would never allow others to say that about his aging mother. Oh shit. The last time the cold steamed bun wasn't even considered, this time it just happened to be calculated together. I grabbed the rice bowl in my hand and smashed it. The Sister Ma hadn't responded yet. Yekong was already standing in front of her. She opened the bow from side to side. Speak eloquently in the future. It hurts too much and you have to be talked about. That horse sister was a bitch, and she was even more aggressive after being beaten. She sat on the ground and whispered, what did I say? Did I name my last name? You have something to say for everyone to judge. Yekong looked cold. How could he repeat it? Chen Juniang did not hear these words, and most of the family members did not hear them. If I say it again in front of everyone, how can the old lady's face hang? With this idea, Yekong didn't want to delve any further, and said, I hope this thing ends here. This is just a lesson for you. Think about it with your mind before you speak. If there is another time, it will never be so simple. If you change to another person, under Yekong's absolute force, you can just bear with it and forget it. But Sister Ma didn't have much awareness. She felt that Yekong was afraid of her when she looked down the steps, so she yelled back at Yekong. What are you running? There is a way for big guys to judge. I said there was a face there is on me, I said you, me. What are you excited about? What is guilty? Is there a on your mother's face? As soon as this remark was made, the cafeteria became quiet for a while, everyone knew that it would not be good, and then went to see Chen Juniang, who was laughed in public and became ugly. Mother, Yekong screamed and looked back at Sister Ma. This time he was so angry that he rushed up and punched and kicked at Sister Ma. If it weren't for the people around him, Sister Ma would have to farewell. But it was also unclear. I was afraid that I would never get up in 3 months. So this incident shocked Mrs. 9. Although Ms. Ma is not her relative, but her person is not. Hitting Ms. Ma is hitting her face. Everyone is so good looking. he was relieved to drive the mother and son out of Yefu. After Yekong Gong finished Sister Ma, she quickly returned to the courtyard and comforted Chen Juniang. "Mother, don't you know that kind of people? She's nonsense." Chen Juniang was bullied, but this time she suffered a lot of humiliation. In front of all the family members in the foreign hospital, she was exposed to scars, even if she was already used to it. But she was afraid that her son would do something bad in a hurry and wanted to laugh and say it was okay, but the tears burst out in despair. "Mother, don't worry, it's just a piece of melanin deposits, I will definitely heal it for you," and let their dog's eyes look at it. "In fact, my mother is also very beautiful." Being talking, there was a noise outside, and the fourth old man came to inform and said that the second wife would visit Chen Juniang immediately. As soon as Chen Juniang heard the second wife coming, she quickly held back her tears to go to wash her face. Those two wives were afraid that it was a visit to be false and that their sins were true. Why not take the opportunity to leave Yefu? Out of Yefu, Haikuo relies on the fish to leap, and the sky is high enough to let the birds fly. Yo, Juniang is still doing embroidery work? You are getting better and better at embroidery. Even the masters in the capital of Beijing are not as good as you. What, if you boast all flowers, then it is convenient to speak again. The second wife came in familiarly, and it was a boast. Chen Juniang was embarrassed, and said, "Grandma, see what you said, this is my own embroidery. How can I compare it with the master in Dafangzi?" "What about?" "Juniang, everyone is a sister, don't be so polite." Mrser pulled Chen Juniang to the bed. Yekong saw that something was wrong. This is not to ask for guilt. Although he knew that the second wife Weasel gave the chicken a Chinese New Year, but she didn't reach out and smile at people. How could you tell her about moving out of Yefu? "Grandma, Yekong wanted to interject. The two wives also shrewdly and quickly interrupted. "Oh, this is empty, I'm busy, I don't have time to visit you, the bigger the more promising, look at this eyebrow." "Grandma. Ergo, don't be so rich. What is your grandmother? You should be called Niang. I haven't taken good care of you all these years. Is it possible that I can't give birth to Niang? You don't know, it's hard for me to be a family." Yet, to say that this woman is really able to say that Yekong and Chen Juniang couldn't insert a word, just listen to her crackle and talk about the white foam in her mouth. Of course, there is no shortage of fighting among the parents. Yekong couldn't bear it, but didn't know how to interrupt, so he had to bite the bullet and listen to her fire a machine gun. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 45. Chapter 44. Moving. "Empty child, go and pour you a glass of water." Chen Juniang suddenly found a chance to interject. There is still a way for the old woman. As soon as she drinks water, we don't have a chance to speak. Yekong quickly poured water. "I'm coming." Xiaohong, standing beside Mrser, took a small step, and took the teapot from Yekong's hand. "Isn't this the girl who teased 2 years ago? I haven't seen it for 2 years, and it's still so beautiful." Yekong muttered, handed the tea to Mrser, and muttered in her mouth for a long time. Tu was called out, but mother couldn't be called out. The two wives took the water bowl and didn't want to drink. They continued to open the cannon and said, "You see how irritating these people are. These waves are chaotic without teaching the house." "Oh, there are 7." The little silk of Fang, who walked in front of me that day, ignored me, and later asked her, saying that she hadn't seen her, when she was in my room. Yekong is about to faint. Yaharan's 9 formal wives, each with a few maids. You can comment one by one, and you can't finish talking about this time tomorrow. Second grandma. Yekong finally ignored the politeness, interrupted the second wife's chatter aloud, and said, "My mother and I want to move out of Yefu, and please complete grandma." The second wife thought, and it was true, she wanted to move out. But she had an inexplicable expression on her face and asked, "Why? Is it because of Sister Ma? You don't have to worry about it. I have ordered her family to be driven out of the house. What a wrong thing if this evil slave doesn't deal with it." Yek Hong Kong was depressed. As he became famous, his reactions were different one by one. He was so anxious to drive away his second wife who wanted to stay. "However, I still don't think we are suitable for living here." Yek Hong's intentions have been decided. Other matters are small. In case the emperor starts with Harem, he doesn't want to be a pond fish. I know, you think your mother has lost face in front of those people, and I'm embarrassed to go to dinner in the future. The second wife seemed to have thought about everything, and said, "You don't have to worry about it, a yard in the backyard I told someone to clean up. Later we will go to the backyard. Meals will be delivered to the door. You can also eat them at any time." Second grandma. Yek Hong couldn't find an excuse for a while, and even if she found it, she would agree with it. "Alas, I really don't know how to open it." "What else is happening?" The second wife didn't wait for Yek Hong to talk and laughed again. "You go back to the house and play with Xiao Hong when everything is fine. Our sisters talk about their own words, huh, don't you? Want to eavesdrop on a woman's house?" Yek Hong had no choice but to be pulled by Xiao Hong's hand, and had to follow the room. "Little red sister, they're talking about the woman's house, why don't you talk about it, and come out with me?" Yek Hong loosened Xiao Hong's soft little hand. Although he felt comfortable, he could tell the difference. Yek Hong didn't just come to the Kangnan continent. He knew exactly what happened to Big Girl. They are women. Of course they talk about women's affairs. I'm not a woman's family, so I won't talk about women's affairs. Xiao Hong obviously had something in her words, as if to confess something. Maybe she hasn't yet. Yek Hong blinked, but pretended not to understand, and said, "Say something, like a tongue twister." "You're not a woman's house, is that a man's house?" Xiao Hong giggled, and her eyes were dazzling, and she said, "You don't understand anything, Master 8. There is a difference between a girl and a woman's house." Xiao Hong asked again, smiling, "What I do nt know how to go to the Kinglu? Tell your sister, what have you done to the Kinglu? Oh, isn't this trying to bring bad teens too? It's a bit close, and the problem is a little bit too." Yek Hong felt that it was a bit hot in a certain place. He sat on a chair to hide his ugliness, and continued to pretend to be stupid. "Go to the Kinglu to help Lu Changqing fight with the bad guys. Oh, you really don't understand anything. I thought you had gone to the Blue House for fun." Xiao Hong saw that he was really childish and really thought he didn't understand anything. Yek Hong thought it was fun to pretend to be stupid, and said angrily, "Who says I don't understand? Going to the Blue Building is to find a woman for good deeds. I go often. Don't think I'm a kid." "Oh," Xiao Hongmei's eyes widened again, and she asked, "Where do you go? Then you know how to find a woman to do, what a good thing." "Haha, you don't understand this. Let Ben Shao teach you." "Well," Yek Hong grinned broadly. I saw that Xiao Hong was a little panicked, she looked forward to it, and she was a little disappointed. In short, it was complicated. "You do nt know much, do you? Seeing you like that, are you afraid I will teach you with action?" Yek Hong smiled smugly. The good thing to do for women is to listen to them singing, let them drink, and watch them dance. Do you understand now? Xiao Hong fainted. "That's all." "Yeah, look for women for fun, that's all." Yek Hong had a look that I knew. "Haha, you are really a kid." Xiao Hong giggled, tears coming out. "Hey, buddies can win prizes at Oscars." Xiao Hong dropped an almond and gaze, and asked, "Master 8, you are so clever in Tibet Chunlu today, let Lu Changqing show their military skills. Is anyone taught you?" "That's a rhetoric, but sister, your tactics are really a bit poor." Yek Hong shook his head. "No, who would think of this method if it weren't for me? Why do you think someone taught me? Do you look down on me? No, no. Xiaohong hurriedly denied that she didn't want to annoy this bad temper who saw and hit anyone. Ye Kong angered, then you still ask like that? You just look down on me. Xiaohong quickly explained, no, I believe you are very smart, but just the second wife asked you to ask? Ye Kong proudly looked at Xiaohong, and said, Lao Tzu's ability to talk with people is much better than you. Xiaohong immediately understood that the boy was really clever, and he couldn't counteract his words. He simply said, the second grandmother, let me tell you a word. Yep. Even if you leave Yefu, you are still named Yet. After Ye Kong listened, he bowed his head and meditated. The second wife's meaning is very clear. Even if she leaves Yefu, she will not be spared in the future. She will only stay and help each other. There is some truth to this. At the moment he is not strong enough and has no ability to travel far. You must know that the low-level divine immortal in this world is more dangerous than ordinary people. It is very likely that they will be arrested and seized, or will be used as a stove for magic. It seems that I can only stay in Yefu first, and wait for my own magic law. Who else dares to provoke it? Okay, Ye Kong waved unhappily, I'm going to rest, you go back to the house over there. Xiaohong reluctantly left, and said, they talk about women's affairs, what shall I do? It is better to take you to the inner courtyard to see your new courtyard and see if you are satisfied. Okay, since staying, it should be a good idea to see the new house. The inner courtyard is indeed much stronger than the outer one. The sorghum big house is painted with paint. There are artificial rivers outside the courtyard. There are various flowers in the courtyard. Even the courtyard walls are much more refined than the outer courtyard. But Ye Kong didn't care about that. He paid attention to the Reiki. The more abundant the Reiki, the better. But this aura is not changeable at a distance of 100 meters, it is almost the same inside and outside the courtyard. Another point is whether the inner courtyard is quiet and suitable for cultivation. This is much better than the outer courtyard. The inner courtyard is full of female dependents. Everyone usually does not love to come and go, and there will not be any messy people to make Chen Juniang embroider and make up. Should be able to meditate. When Ye Kong and Xiaohong finished watching the yard, the second wife had finished talking with Chen Juniang. In fact, Chen Juniang did not want to leave Yefu although she had no status. It was a shame to be kicked out in the Kangnan continent. Only when her husband made a big mistake would she be kicked out. In addition, she feels that with Ye Kong's temperament, she is in trouble here. People still care about the majesty of Yefu. If she goes out, the kid will be in trouble every day, for fear that someone will come to the door every day. So she moved on the same day. Ye Kong and her mother had nothing valuable. After a few baggage, they went to the inner court. Xiaohong also took care of it. She also took a baggage. At the corner of the baggage was a thin scroll of yellow wrapper, and Xiaohong secretly took it out, and immediately flushed with blush, and stared at Ye Kong in front of her fiercely, yelling, I'm going to die to see such indecent things, dead liar just pretending to be silly with me. After all, it was easy to settle down, it was already dark, it was good in the inner courtyard, the food was delivered to the door, and there was a special dining room. Ye Kong and Chen Juniang were eating, and Chen Juniang was so wet that she ate, saying, empty child, your mother is a blessing to you. If you are not prosperous, how can your mother enter the backyard of Yefu in this life? If you live in such a big house, maybe you can go to the Ye family ancestral hall when you go there. Ye Kong put down his chopsticks and sighed. It seems that her mother also has a wish. She doesn't care about eating well and living, but she is affirmed by the Ye family, or a place. In this continent, place the weight in a woman's heart is much heavier than gold and silver goods. Ye Kong can only dispel the thought of leaving Yefu. Mother, look at what you said, it's nothing. After the baby has healed your face later, Mr. Ye will not recognize you when he comes back. Chen Juniang laughed and cursed, "What does the stink boy say? The general has no white hair. How can he be an old man?" As I was talking, someone came outside. Ye Kong looked back, but the housekeeper Yesai was carrying two girls. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 46. Chapter 45. Master 8, Aunt Chen, eat. Yesai nodded and said, Chen Juniang's official status was crowded, so everyone had to call her aunt. Well, Uncle Cai Yekong put down his chopsticks. He was still very polite to people, and asked, "Is something coming late, please? Sit down and talk." The old slave still stood up and said yes. I knew that the boy was a standard dog face, and said that if he turned his face, he would turn his face. Standing properly, she said, "The second wife is afraid that no one here will be inconvenient to serve, so she asked the old slave to send 2 messengers to her." "Oh, thank you grandma for your good intentions, but we are so used to it that we don't need anyone to serve," Yekong hurriedly refused. It wasn't because he thought the 2 girls were ugly, but he didn't want to let others know he was an immortal. If they accept the 2 girls, they will soon discover their secrets. There is a lot of gossip between the people, and it will be known to the whole house within a day, and then the whole city will spread. Isn't that looking for death? Attracting a high-level practitioner, Yekong couldn't handle it at all. But Yesai didn't know what he was thinking, and thought he was unhappy. He explained quickly, "It's the old slave it. How can you do trivial work yourself, Master number 8? The old slave cares. Laozi is also a golden branch." Yekong is funny, waving his hand, "Uncle Cai, see what you said, you are busy every day, it's hard enough. What do I care about you? But we really do auntie need these 2 girls." Seeing Yesai still wanting to be confused, Yekong rolled his eyes. "If you do auntie want to, do auntie, how many times do you want me to say? These people still eat this set." Yesai saw that he was angry, and suddenly the atmosphere did not dare to go out, so much of her heart was beaten to death. My old man was a bone, but I couldn't hold his 3 fists and 2 feet. Hurry up and retreat the 2 girls, these girls in the big house are also very angry, who doesn't want to fly to the branches to become a phoenix? The 8th master is as famous as ever, if he is shown to. The 2 ants didn't have no idea. They were dressed up before they came. Who knew that this boy didn't even see it, so they let them go back. They were naturally unhappy, and did not dare to confront them in the face. After they went back, they proclaimed that the boy had no interest in women at all, either because they were not psychologically correct or because they were physically defective. Although the 2 girls talked behind the scenes, they also helped Yekong from the side, dispelling a lot of thoughts in the girls' hearts, and they did not come to entangle themselves. That's a digression, just say Yesai, and drive away the 2 maids. Then she looked at Yekong with a smile, not knowing what to say. Yekong's spinal hairs were erected by his laughter, and he thought, shouldn't this old guy wait for a tip? He's a very bored. As a young master, I have more money. I want a tip without doing anything. Yekong was thinking of this, and he did not dare to ask for a tip by borrowing Yesai's courage. In fact, he gave Yekong money. I saw Yesai carefully took out a large seal of silver from his pocket, put it on the table, and smiled, "Master 8, the old slave, I was afraid of your big hands, so I secretly intercepted your money. In fact, the old slave was also kind, I kept it for you, and the old slave didn't move." Yekong suddenly understood that this is the old guy's old greedy silver, which looks like 202. This old kid is really black. I'm so embarrassed to say that I help myself. Afraid of my arrogance. What are you doing now? Keep it there. Yekong looked poor. Yesai was frightened, and said in his heart that he didn't know about it. I took it out, didn't I trouble myself, didn't I do it myself? The old man knelt down hurriedly and begged bitterly, Master 8, the old slave was confused for a moment, and became greedy. I hope you will let the old slave go for the sake of the hard-working decades of Yefu. Chen Juniang was soft-hearted and couldn't stand it, interjecting, empty child, Uncle Cai is also good to my two mothers. Now that the silver has been returned, don't worry about it. Yeah, thank you Aunt Chen, I won't dare. Ye Kong actually scared him. He nodded and taught, there is a song that sings well, spit it out for me, took it back for me. But don't be reluctant to know, there are chances are you will vomit and you will repay, this is still good luck, if you want to vomit without vomiting, then you are really in trouble. Yes, old slaves will never be greedy again, Master Cai will not hold you accountable. It's dangerous. Ye Cai came out of Ye Kong's yard, and it was worthy to wipe a sweat and cursed, eat me and spit it out, take me back and return me, and this kind of song is lacking in virtue. Do not talk about Ye Cai, say Ye Kong, give the silver to the old woman, and there are thousands of fanjuji in his storage bag. He doesn't care about the money. Chen Juniang's heart was full of joy. It wasn't that she opened her eyes to see the money. Instead, she finally saved enough money for her son to marry a daughter-in-law. Even if Ye Kong is going to marry someone now, wouldn't it be too shabby? Unfortunately, Ye Kong didn't want to marry his wife at all, so he could also find a cultivating woman afterwards. She could do double cultivation at night and doubles, robbing, during the day, and everyone was almost the same. Otherwise, find a mortal person, who is young, but the other person is already deaf, and others think that this is his grandmother. Another analogy, it should have a lifespan of 800 years until the UN infanthood period, and his life has only come down a little, the other party has already hung up, marry another, then hang, and marry another, damn, fun funeral isn't it? So in general, a cultivator will marry a cultivator's wife. Even if Wan Xian is a real person, he is hopeless, and he will marry a woman who is hopeless. Generally, mortals are not considered. Why? Monk plus monk, the next generation has a greater chance of having spiritual roots. This is to say that male monks generally do not consider marrying mortal beauties as wives. On the other hand, female monks are less likely to marry mortal handsome men, like the seven fairies and Dong Yang, Bai Suhen, and Su Xian. These stories are only rare, and they occur in the Kangnan mainland story, the probability is infinitely close to zero. Those female monks would rather bachelor's life than marry mortals. Even the male monks who were a little lower than them would never consider it. Pull away, come back. Ye Kong returned to his room. He knew that if he wanted to survive and live a better life, he could only become stronger and stronger through unremitting cultivation. A bit safe. However, before practice, he still had to put the cloth on the cloth. Array formation generally requires array flags, sand tables, and so on, but Ye Kong does not have those things. He only has one array symbol seized from Fanjuji. The matrix symbol is also a type of magical charm. Its principle is to seal the matrix method into the rune paper and use spiritual force to urge it. It is convenient and saves time. It is very suitable for monks who do not understand matrix method. However, array symbols are also flawed. Its biggest disadvantage is that it cannot be moved after being laid. If it is damaged, it cannot be repaired. Unlike a bunting array, it can be picked up and changed at any time, it can be rearranged if it is damaged or destroyed, or, it can be fine-tuned and changed in size, scope, structure, function, etc. Matrix arrays do not have the above functions. After use, the matrix symbols disappear and the matrix method is fixed. Of course, the formation and opening of the formation can still be controlled, as long as there is a spiritual stone to maintain and not be destroyed, This formation can exist for hundreds of years. Yekong is now ready to put this spiritual sitting array in his room, so that he will not be disturbed if he practices in the future. No one can enter without his permission. Taking out the array of symbols, Yekong was not in a hurry to urge with spiritual power. Because this was the first time he saw the real magic charm of the Kangnan continent. As a future master of spells, he thought it would be better to study it first. Holding the array, sit under the oil lamp, and carefully observe the lines and lines on the array. The creator of this array of runes seems to be a master, at least a skilled person, and I saw that the square rune has thick and thin lines and is extremely complicated. It is hooked around, but without a cross, like a perfectly designed circuit board, beautiful, simple and neat. Many silver lines are winding around, twisting and twisting, but the symbols can still be drawn in one go. Even the thickness of the line cannot be seen to change a little. Sure enough, the mystery is extraordinary, Yekong praised. Even thinking about it, even if Xianxian continent, there are so many strange things, but there are certain truths behind these beyond imagination. There is a saying that there is no love for no reason, no hate for no reason, let alone doodle on the paper to make the world invincible. Even the magical Xianxian continent has its own unique theories, just like the chemical physics on the Earth, they have rules and reasons. It looks like this array of symbols in Yekong's hand, why this line is drawn like this, and why that line is so thick, these are for a reason. Definitely not just draw it twice with your eyes closed, you can use the array method. Yekong seemed stupid, staring at the piece of line combination that others could not understand, and nodded for a while, so it is. After frowning for a long time, I went back and forth, patted my thigh one last time, and praised, okay. The cool breeze, the flowers and trees swaying, and the large area of Yefo has few lights left. Yekong is still obsessed with staring at the circuit board, oh, array. Also not sleeping is in the second wife's room. Xiaohong is reporting to Yekong's probe during the day, but she only highlights Yekong's cleverness and does not mention those conversations on the green building. After listening to the report, the second wife nodded and thought afterwards, you will go to his yard to play in the future, and see what he is doing. No matter what, I will never believe that a fool suddenly became so smart. Suddenly, he became strong, and nothing happened for no reason. Oh, when Xiaohong bowed her head, she couldn't bear a joy in her heart, but then she was upset again, and asked, Master 8 is very shrewd. If he finds out that we are listening to his news, will he be angry or angry? The second wife laughed, no, don't watch him offending all day, but those offend him face to face. We should be polite to him, and he's absolutely embarrassed. Xiaohong hurriedly sent the horse fart, the second grandma is really amazing. Learn from me later, said the second wife smugly. But he is not a fuel-saving lamp. Let's be kind to him and ask his secret behind him, Xiaohong said boldly, then he will also be kind to him, and start behind, not that Yehai might have been secretly caught by him. Killed. Haha, you weren't stupid, the second wife laughed too much, and then she said, there will be opportunities when there is danger. We are not trying to kill him, what are you afraid of? He knows, I am not afraid. Xiaohong's heart was depressed, but I was afraid. The boy said that when he turned his face, he turned his face. You can explain to him, maybe it's alright, but I'm afraid that I have no chance to explain. Go and meet Yehai. The second wife probably saw Xiaohong's fear and laughed, I stay in the house now, I just hope that he can help, how can it hurt him? In fact, ask him about his secret purpose, and it's okay to say, if when he finds it, you tell him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 47. Chapter 46. Xiao Hong didn't know why the second wife was so keen to inquire about Ye Kong's secrets, to hear her take the initiative to raise them, and of course to listen carefully to her. The second wife looked out the window and frowned. In fact, I am also for Weiner and Wu'er. Although they are instructed by a famous teacher, martial arts still stand still. Weiner is 20 years old. Wu'er is also 18, and it seems that he will go to the battlefield to build his career. If Ye Kong's solution is obtained, it will also increase my son Ye Wen's martial arts skills, which will be beneficial to you and me. Xiao Hong nodded. This was the case. No wonder the second wife suddenly changed to Ye Kong's mother and son. The most fundamental reason for her daring was for her son. This is no wonder, which old lady does not want her son to be good, not to mention the idea that the son of Kangnan continent is honorable, and if Ye Wen has a chance, she will be justified and promoted to a legitimate wife. Mrs. Please rest assured, Xiao Hong must do her best to not let you down, Xiao Hong said immediately. The second wife knew that she had to do something, but she still had a little benefit. She touched Xiao Hong's black and bright hair and laughed, "Little Red, I know that you have high spirits, so you want to climb up to be a phoenix, so I didn't ask you to wait for the master. I thought about it, when I turned back and promised you to my house, woo, and when he opened the government to build a house, you will become a half-master. As long as you do this, I promise to let you satisfied." How? If in the past, Xiao Hong must be very happy. Ye Wu has always been jealous of her, although Ye Wu is not a good girl in her heart, but it is the third master. If he can marry the third master, he can be considered a tall branch. But now Xiao Hong doesn't think so. She suddenly broke into a teenager's figure in her heart. I don't know why. So suddenly, that guy has a bad temper and is like a ghost, but in her heart just can't let go. Why? You don't want to? The second wife looked at Xiao Hong in a daze and asked displeasedly. Mei is willing. Xiao Hong didn't dare to refuse, but thought to herself, if the second wife knew that she liked Ye Kong, what would happen? But the kid was pretending to be stupid, and he didn't understand the style. What should he do? Ye Kong didn't know that countless girls were thinking about him that night, or they had to stick an incognito and go out and scan the whole world. He was still thinking about that amulet, thinking about it in the middle of the night, and felt that he basically understood the amulet, so he started to arrange. Standing in the center of the room, holding the amulet, urged with aura, no response. How can this be? Isn't the matrix symbol used like this? Ye Kong was a little puzzled, and tried again twice, and the matrix symbol was still not moving at all. Ye Kong sat back at the table, and suddenly thought, no wonder Fan Zhou trapped me in a cage, instead of trapping me. The original amulet was bad and could not be used. I couldn't think of the Fu who had studied in the middle of the night turned out to be a waste product that couldn't be used. Ye Kong only smiled bitterly. In fact, when he researched before, he found that a breakpoint on the line of the symbol was very abnormal. It seems that the line was broken, causing the aura to pass, which made the array symbol unable to run. Ye Kong really needs a formation to practice, but this array of runes is actually bad, which makes him very annoyed. He wants to drop the runes into the storage bag, but he has an idea. Why don't I try to repair this array? I just test my technique. If Ye Kong hadn't had this confidence before, it's different now. We have a low-grade spirit grass juice. Ye Kong said to Dry, take out a short section of the pitcher vine from the storage bag, cut a few holes on the vine with a small sword, let the white sticky grass juice drip inside, and use a clean paddle received. The broken line at that point is very short, as long as a small number of lines are connected. Ye Kong used the tip of his pen to a little juice, held his breath, and pointed at the break point, and closed it with a pen. Although the magic charm uses the psychic charm pen, which is the kind of pen that can introduce aura, but Ye Kong is only a small repair now, ordinary pens should be able to substitute. As soon as the pen tip was touched, The breakpoint was connected, but it had no effect. The juice that fell on the rune paper did not match the rune paper at all. As soon as the hand moved, the juice rolled away like a small dew. How can this be the case? Isn't the juice of the lower grade spirit grass taken this way? Yet is right. The juice used for the symbol is not something that can be used by taking a few drops of grass juice from the spirit grass. The correct method is that the monk burns the spirit grass with the spirit fire in the body, also called refining. But Yekong didn't know wow. Besides, he is not skilled at controlling fire properties now, and he can't release the flame steadily and continuously. However, Xiao is still a little smart. He quickly thought that the concentration of these juices was not enough. If he could concentrate them, maybe he would be fine. Then he spent some time, picking up a lot of white glue in a small bowl and putting it on the table to let the water evaporate naturally. All things are settled, he feels a bit sleepy, and the early practitioners will also be sleepy. If you do meditate or sleep, it will become more and more sleepy. Meditating and sleeping can all solve the problem, but they are different. Meditating can absorb the aura, and you can't sleep. However, it's fine to be awake and slap by meditation, and you have to vomit blood. When he first came to a new place, Yekong didn't dare to meditate. Instead, he went to bed, rolled up his clothes on the couch, and slept with his clothes. Little girl, get up in the hut early in the morning, finish the hut, look yellow in front of the mirror, stop dressing, and go to see Yekong Xiaxuelang. Today, Chen Juniang is really busy. Of course, she is not doing embroidery work. When she moved to the backyard, she no longer has long eyes to make her work. She is busy dealing with those little girls. Although the two rejected girls last night helped Yekong counter-advertise, they still cannot dispel the passion of those girls. The maids in Defo have many ideas. Who wants to climb a tall branch? Even if it is impossible to be repossessed, it will be glorious to follow a well-known master like Yekong. Those who have a little self-confidence, get dressed up early, and find an excuse to come to the yard here. As for the excuse, that's too simple. Let's learn to do embroidery work. Let's worship Chen Juniang as a teacher and draw relationships first. Chen Juniang was also very happy. In a room, Yingying Yanyan, called Yingying crying, let alone a man looking at Shuxin, Chen Juniang was comfortable in this woman. Auntie, this is the one I embroidered last time. Please give me some pointers. You must criticize it. I will accept it with an open mind. Auntie, your embroidery work is really covered, hee, that's like living. Which is alive, is your heart alive? Haha. You're spring girl, I'm going to die, watch me hit you. Chen Juniang watched the girls laugh and laughed. She was also very happy. For a long time, it was not so lively. She certainly understands the thoughts of the girls, although the position of her daughter Xiaoqin in her heart has been determined, but men must have 3 wives, 4 grandchildren and grandchildren to look like it. It should be embroidered like this, it would be better if the needle comes up from below. Chen Juniang guided and looked at the girls. This is good, pretty, but the is too small, the one is also good. At first glance, it looks like having a son, but it is old. Here, this is as old as an empty child. The figure is pretty good, but the temper big. Chen Juniang was picking flowers in the flowers, all picking her eyes. Even the little girl Lucine came, she did not notice. As soon as Lucine came to the place where they lived today, when they saw no one, they asked again and said that they had moved to the inner court. So the little girl came to the backyard, but the backyard was not casually entered, not only men, but women, and that could not be easily entered. You must be informed. If you want to report quickly, you must give rewards, not much. 8 copper plates are enough. Although the servants watching the gate of the courtyard know yeah is terrible, but this is their rules. Besides, it is not your eighth master who comes in person. Who knows, which onion is coming to you? Giving rewards is a rule, but the servants are inconvenient to say clearly. Why did Lucien think of these things? I heard that I had to inform Master 8, but the servants were the old dogs to keep an eye on the house, their mouths could not move. Two people, please help inform me. Lucien stood for a while, his legs were sore. Sister, don't see that we are busy, just go after it. The kid was sitting at the door and counting the ants. Two elder brothers, I didn't see you busy. How did the little girl understand those and tell her the truth? The younger one is not happy. Little girl, you know that I'm not busy, can I tell you about my busy work? To tell you the truth, I'm waiting for an important person here. If I give you a report, an important person, it just happened that something went wrong, are you responsible? This excuse was good, and Lucien had nothing to say. Next to it was an old servant who sang a white face to remind him, yeah, it is not easy for us to janitor, girl, we must be punished if we are not careful. Ah, if it's a leak for you, it's our money. The two ding look sad and painful, even if you know that they are extortion, you cannot start, they are also very pitiful. Lucien understood what they meant. The little girl now was not a poor man, and he quickly found a silver mule and quickly handed it in. The two older brothers have worked hard. The two families looked at each other, their eyes lit up. Alas, rich people, a brief look was 2 silver, and immediately laughed with flowers on their faces. Little girl, want it? But at this moment, a woman scolding behind her, do you know who she is? Collect her money, and you are not afraid of being interrupted? The two couples stunned their fingers, looking back at the second wife's most beloved big girl, Xiaohong, is standing behind them. These two wives are the current masters of Yefu. Lucien was a bit surprised. The woman was 2 years older than herself and was pretty. But we didn't know her and listened to her tone, am I famous? It turned out to be Little Red Sister. She was, although Xiaohong was only 16 years old, she was the hottest girl, but the steward Yesai would not offend her. Of course, those family members called her sister. She is the younger sister of Master 8. You extorted his sister's money, you, think of Sister Ma. The two youngsters were frightened, and Sister Ma was beaten unconsciously, and she was kicked out of the house. For the 2 money, she annoyed the violent mania, but it was not a good deal. Girl, you're welcome, this little thing, how can you use it for you? Whoever we accept will not accept you. Ding Ding Jia stretched out his hand and shrank back. Lucien sympathized with them, still handing silver, and said, it doesn't matter, hold it. You are waiting for the big man here to be punished for me, how can I stand by and watch? Of course Xiaohong knew that they were nasty, pulled Lucien, and laughed, sister, they're bragging, put away the silver, and your sister will take you in. Oh, Lucien liked the sister who was kind and intimate, and asked as she walked. Sister, what's your name, why don't I seem to know you? Xiaohong was previously ordered by MRSER, paying attention to Yekong. Naturally, she knew the relationship between Lucien and Yekong, so this was especially affectionate. My name is Xiaohong, girl Lu. If you don't think I'm a slave, call me Little Red Sister. I often hear Auntie Chen talk about you. Xiaohong is extremely enthusiastic. The two walked into Yekongjia's yard, as if they were close friends for decades. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 48. Chapter 47. Yeah, why are there so many people? Lucien stepped back into the hall as soon as she stepped back into the hall. In the past, Chen Juniang could never have been so lively. Lucien's little girl thought she had gone wrong. These hoofs, Xiaohong snorted in the nose. Lucien didn't know, Xiaohong was very clear about the arrival of the girls. They all are, Lucien had seen Chen Juniang from the crowd, so he didn't worry about going wrong. They are. Xiao Hong wanted to complain, but wasn't she the same? A woman misses a man as normal as a man misses a woman. Xiao Hong says nothing, and laughs. Spring is coming. Lu Qin is much purer than the girls in these provinces. He didn't understand Xiao Hong's meaning at all. He asked inexplicably, what? What do they have to do with spring? Now, it's summer. Lu Qin's head was getting more and more confused, but Xiao Hong was dragged out of the entrance of the hall. Auntie is busy, how about going to see Master 8? This is not good. Although Lu Qin was pure, he also knew that there was a difference between men and women. What are you afraid of? You're his sister and you can't get into your brother's room. Xiao Hong wanted to find out why Yekong was doing in the room in the morning, but she didn't dare. Although Lu Qin was embarrassed, but could not stand Xiao Hong's 3 pushes and 4 persuasion, she followed Xiao Hong to Yekongguo. I came to Yekongguo and found that the boy was already up. He was worried. What was it? There were too many girls. If he had been on Earth in his last life and saw so many pretty girls, he would have drooled up, but here he turned from a hooligan to a saint. This can't blame him. Alas, if they attract them every day, how can buddies have time to cultivate immortals? Ah, you are here to Xiao Hong's peace of mind. Yekong looked very happy when they saw them both. Brother Yekong, what's going on in your family today? It's so lively. Lu Qin didn't understand yet. Yekong smiled bitterly. If this is the case every day, it will bother me. He now regrets the decision to move to the inner court. He smiled bitterly and said, you go and get me 2 buns. I haven't eaten breakfast yet. Xiao Hong giggled and chuckled, you are so timid, you are comfortable with thousands of people, and dozens of girls are afraid to go out. Yekong didn't stubbornly, nodded, don't say, I'm really afraid of them. The eyes of the people are like swords and guns, and I can block them all with the same eyes as shields. It won't hurt us. What about their eyes? Both girls widened their eyes, waiting for his novel theory. Their eyes. Yekong was still scared, and said with a flat mouth. The ones with winking eyes are like flying knives. They flew over in a stunned way. It was very hard for me to shoot me. It's incomplete. Both girls giggled, and Xiao Hong smiled again and asked, what about your shield? The open gun is easy to hide, the flying knife is difficult to prevent, it can't be blocked, it can't be blocked, it's a headache. Hey, who are you going to get me a hoe? Let's go. Xiao Hong got used to these things and volunteered to go. As soon as Xiao Hong left, Yekong looked sullen, and told Lu Qin, this girl is from the second wife, speak carefully. Oh, Lu Qin is not stupid, and Yekong often told her before, so even if Xiao Hong had a good relationship with her, she would not tell Yekong's secret of being an immortal. Those girls, what are you going to do? Lu Qin helped Ye empty a glass of water and put it on the small table. Well, I don't know. It seems that this Kangnan continent really has to be low-key. It just got so many sparrows when it became famous. It would be miserable to let people know that I am an immortal and a lot of barbarian monks. Yekong shook his head helplessly. They are sparrows, what am I? What? Since Lu Qin kissed him, he has a lot of attractive girlish style. The little girl's face flushed, her head bowed slightly, and she bit her bite of the beautiful mole next to her lips. She didn't dare to look up, but couldn't help Lu Mei picking it and peeking at Yekong. The two looked at each other, and Lu Qin smiled embarrassedly, hiding Yekong's gaze and covering his mouth with a small hand, and chuckled. The girl's shy feelings, combined with Lu Qin's beautiful face, are so moving. Even if the stone man is a public man, she will be moved. What's more, Yekong, a vicious hooligan, had been thinking about the impossible between monks and mortals last night, and the sweet love taste is hard to resist. They are sparrows, you are an eagle. Yekong smiled and pulled Lu Qin's free hand. Lu Qin shook him off with an angry temper, his lips fluttered, and he shouted, no, how could I be so fierce? Yekong took her hand again and pulled her in front of him, saying, "Why isn't it so fierce, just like the eagle grabbing the chick, grabbing my heart, there is no chance for me to struggle." The chilling dialogue has a wonderful effect in the Gangnam continent. Those girls have never seen Korean dramas. If they have ever heard such romantic words, Luchin can hear as happy as flying into the sky. Even Xiao Hong, who came into the door with a hoe, heard a tremor in her heart. Wow, how romantic, who said he didn't understand how to please a woman? If it was good to say to me, I would also like to be an eagle. Xiao Hong came in suddenly, making Luchin frightened aside, although she didn't do anything, she was too close to be ashamed. Eating steamed buns, Xiao Hong pretended not to see them, and put the steamed buns on the table in front of Ye Kong. "Oh, do you have something to eat, too?" Both women ate breakfast, naturally shaking their hands. Ye Kong was also not polite, and drank his head to eat. "Brother Ye Kong, how is your 18-style dog stick practice?" Luchin asked again. "As long as it doesn't involve the cultivation of immortals, they don't need to hide." "Hit a dog stick, still practicing." Ye Kong froze, but quickly realized that she was talking nonsense to the little girl yesterday morning, and she took it seriously. "Then you must practice it, you must show it to me, and teach me." If the little girl knew what the so-called dog stick is, she might not be able to say such a thing. "Well, rest assured, I must teach you," Ye Kong responded vaguely, but there was a faint rise somewhere. Xiao Hong, who was watching from side to side, was also a move in her heart, and she was rewarded. Could this beating the dog stick be his highest martial art? Attention now, he, if this girl also learns a trick and a half, it is also a female high school hero, playing dog stick method. Listen to awful words. Luchin is not like Xiao Hong. She doesn't need to observe with eyes in Ye Kong Guo. She is just like her own house. She walks around, enters it, and sees the pitcher juice in a small bowl. "Brother Ye Kong, what is this, smelling of a clear fragrance?" "Oh, that's a kind of herbal juice," Ye Kong said with a hoe. "Please help me get the bowl exposed to the sun, and I want to make it as thick as possible." Okay. Luchin went out with the small bowl. This time, Xiao Hong was not so diligent. She was still mumbling in her heart, "Haha," and she had harvested again. It turned out that the boy would still heal. "Master 8, you are so good. You also know herbal medicine. Have you studied medicine?" Xiao Hong asked. "Well, yes." Ye Kong thought for a while, nodded. "Anyway, we can also cure with amulets, this is not bragging. Then I can show you later if I'm sick." Xiao Hong hit the snake with her. "Yes, how difficult this is, but I can't guarantee that all diseases will be cured." Ye Kong looked up at Xiao Hong. The little girl looked very good, and the development was perfect everywhere, not like she was sick. "Master 8 speaks well today." Xiao Hong was so pleased that she had to go in. "Can Master 8 teach me how to play dog sticks?" Ye Kong almost fainted. The girls in the Gangnam continent were really straightforward. All of them remembered my master's dog fight. "Unfortunately, we only deal with women, not dogs." This, pickles are gone, go get some more, little red sister." Help, Ye Kong said about it, because his brother was seduced by this beautiful girl 3 times and 5 times has already strongly protested. Most of the day passed quickly, and Ye Kong wasn't all staying in the room. Under the strong demands of the girl-in-law fans, he showed up and greeted those Ying Yan Yan. Although those girls are not as pretty as Luchin, and they are not as hot as Xiao Hong, they all have some characteristics, such as the pitiful little silk, the choppy butterflies, and the cherry blossoms who like to flutter in their arms. However, the global hooligan classmate Ye Kong still resolutely restrained, and has always used the door face to deal with it, as if it were Zhongwu's possession. "You smile and I do nt smile, you move me, you cough, and groan, clear." It made the little girls very unhappy, and when they went back, they called the boy a silly idiot, and they didn't understand the style. In fact, Yekong doesn't want to hold the left and the right, it is best to be like a Guo film. A male plays a lot of beauty, let them collectively study a certain physiological structure of themselves. But in order to practice with peace of mind in the future and less trouble, he still resisted. If these girls come here every day, he will really indulge in gentle hometown, and do not need to practice hard. In the evening, when the family finally managed to quiet down, Chen Juniang asked with a smile, "How about? Is there a suitable one?" "It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter. Today, Mrs. Yan, Mrs. Sun, and Mrs. Su have all come here, and they also have a lot of suitable ones. Yekong is going crazy, ma'am, please let me be quiet, buddy. Is it easy for me to cultivate a fairy? Mother, I'm only 14 years old, and my father is still unsure when I can come back." "What's the matter?" Chen Juniang thought about it too. Harem didn't come back, and these things couldn't be rushed, so he left them alone. Yekong just slipped out, went to see the sap of his nepenthes, walked to the window, and saw that the milky juice in the bowl had changed. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 49. Chapter 48, Ancestor Huan Quan. Yekong found that the juice that had been exposed to the sun on the windowsill for a day turned into a black paste, which smelled more intense. "Wow, it's like opium. I don't know if it can be addictive," Yekong mumbled, and took the small bowl back to the house. In fact, the use of fire refining and exposure to the sun also have similar effects, but the sun is not pure enough, nor can it precipitate impurities. These concentrated grass juices, if used as a symbol, will never work. However, if it is used for minor repairs, it can barely be used. Therefore, after Yekong connected the defect of the array symbol again, and then urged it with spiritual force, the array symbol really worked. Spirit, repair, Sid, array. I saw 4 light white characters rising from the array in turn, then grew larger, hung in the air, and disappeared quickly. When the 4 words flashed one by one, Yekong felt that all the aura around him was alive, just like a pot of water was about to boil. Suddenly, a pound of force swelled out from the center of the symbol in his hand, and it felt as if an umbrella had been stretched out to isolate Yekong in a separate space. Yekong was nervous, and suddenly felt a consciousness came, set the range of the matrix method. He quickly controlled the matrix method with his mind to continue to expand, and finally, the matrix method completely covered the room. He was determined. The array symbol and cloth array are different. It cannot be changed after it is determined. He originally wanted to leave an empty space at the door of the room. Even if his array method is running, others can open the door to see him in the array. But when I was nervous just now, I forgot to cover the door of the entire room into the array. That is, as long as the matrix method is running, it is impossible for others to open the door, and it will not work to touch the door. Waiting for Yekong to think about this problem, it was too late. He had already determined. As soon as the range of the formation method was determined, the layer of transparent, invisible touch cover also disappeared. A grooved square appeared at Yekong's feet. Looking at the array symbol, it had turned into white powder. Incense ash was generally scattered on the ground. "This is the console." Yekong looked down at the square with a circle of runes engraved, and then took out a spirit stone from the storage bag and stuck it in the central groove. Instantly, that circle of runes flashed. The dim white light flashed, and the spiritual practice started again. Take out the spirit stone, the formation will stop. Put in, the formation will start. It is very simple. Haha. I also have a dedicated training place for Yekong. Opening the array, Yekong shouted loudly. There was no need to be afraid of people hearing it. This spiritual sitting array is convenient for monks to meditate and practice. The sight is not affected, but the sound is isolated from the inside and the outside. The most wonderful design is that after the aura outside the array enters the array, it will become active and more conducive to the monks to absorb the cultivation. If someone from the outside wants to come in, Yekong will feel when he touches the outer wall of the formation method. Even without opening his eyes, he can know who touched it, and then, depending on the situation, decide whether to let him in. The stuff in the Kangnan continent is really magical. Just take this array of symbols and take it to the earth. I don't know if the atomic bomb can hold it. Yekong got the formation method and felt more about everything in the Kangnan continent. Interest. He sat cross-legged on the couch, and found the small sword weapon in the storage bag, and sighed in his heart, the fourth layer of gas refining, when can he reach the fourth layer of gas refining? According to Fan Zhuzhi, when the fourth layer of gas refining is reached, it can be manipulated by exorcism. You can use the magic weapon. There will be a huge increase in skill and combat power. At that time, you will be able to protect yourself and you can go out and walk around. Cultivate, practice hard. Although Yekong made up his mind, he still had the lucky thought in his heart. Maybe I can use the magic weapon without refining qi. He couldn't help but want to try, put the sword on the bedside, and use the trick of exorcism to drive the sword. Do not move. Cut your finger, drip a drop of blood, and drive. Still not moving. Is the fairy immortal? Is it really necessary to go to the fourth layer of refining gas? Yekong looked at Xiaojian from left and right, and thought of another way to try to use spiritual force to motivate him. Putting in a little aura, Yekong seemed to feel something. Hey, there's a door. Make persistent efforts. Yekong once again urged the aura in his body to be transported from the hilt of the sword. However, the subsequent aura was like a mud cow into the sea, and there was no movement at all. Did I feel wrong? Yekong was a little skeptical, but if he stopped now, the aura he had just entered would have been wasted. Maybe if you lose a little more, this sword can be used. Yekong, holding such a fluent thought, kept sending his aura into his sword. Gradually, Yekong felt terrible. The whole thing was a bottomless pit. Don't drain your aura, and if you don't respond, it will be a big loss. At this moment, Yekiki's Reiki in the sea has already consumed nearly 1/3. There is no elixir. These Reikis need to be cultivated for at least 1 month before they can be replenished, but Yekong can no longer care. If you use speculation in stocks, you should call it a stop loss. In order to avoid greater losses, if you have already lost, just lose it. But when Yekong wanted to cut off the aura transmission channel and stop delivering aura to the small sword, a mutation occurred. Suddenly, a powerful attraction appeared, just like a pump, to accelerate the aura inside Yekong to pump out. No, Yekong roared in horror, because he found that he could no longer control it. He wanted to cut it off. The suction in the sword was very strong and abnormal, just like a black hole. Flushing there, the practice of several years, will soon be lost. Yekong had already panicked. He didn't know what was inside the sword, and he didn't want to know what it was. He just wanted to disconnect, and no matter how much the loss was, that's all. But Xiaojian obviously didn't want to let him go. The suction was getting bigger and bigger, and the aura was less and less, just like the lake, getting lower and lower, and gradually dried up. After a while, he reached the bottom. Seeing 2 years of practice, people were pumped into a blank. Yekong was almost crying without tears, and he was vomiting blood directly. But even then, the small sword did not want to let him go. Lack of Reiki. Yekong felt dizzy, but at this moment, a consciousness came from Lingtai. Someone invaded. Yekong quickly put his consciousness into Lingtai. Good guy, a baby with a beard, is rushing forward. Yekong's sorrows are endless. I can't do anything wrong with it. I am idle and I have nothing to do. I have to provoke this monster. His consciousness has been transformed into shape. Bachan is like a baby. Laozi is just a light ball. Stubborn and weak, know at a glance. And now he was sucked up by his aura, how could he not be his opponent? Haha, 100,000 years, 100,000 years. My Huanquan ancestor finally woke up. I don't know if all the old demon awakened are of this virtue. This guy named Huanquan ancestor also has a kind of relief. Rampant. Dear ancestor, congratulations, you are awake. In Xiakan, I do nt know what to order? If you need help, please do nt hesitate, just speak directly. Yekong stiffened and smiled. Please please. Yekong, isn't it? Haha, you're fine. Huanquan's ancestor smiled, didn't know what idea to take, approached slowly, and said in his mouth, I don't think your qualifications are so poor, this spiritual route can be quite complicated. Yeah, Yekong quietly backed away, and said with modesty in his mouth. On the younger route, I do nt want others to sacrifice. Woolen it's extremely bad. I am embarrassed to go out. Shame. Ren Yekan lost himself to a mess, but Huanquan's ancestors still approached with a smile. The qualifications are indeed a bit poor. What is unexpected is that your refining on the second layer of gas refining is so pure and strong, you must find the right one. Have you done the exercises? The old guy's eyes are poisonous. Yekong had to plead, old man, if you look at the small exercises, the young will immediately give them both hands, but, let's change the place. Will it be a place where there are beautiful women and wine? The small Lingtai is not talking somewhere. Haha. Huanquan's ancestor laughed for a while, then suddenly stopped, staring. The ancestor vowed never to return to the broken sword. Since it is here, it will be dominated. I'm poorly qualified. If you meet a good one in the future, you can change it. It won't matter to you anything when you take a home. Lose some skill. I'm very stupid. It doesn't matter, my ancestor took your body, and he will be smart right away. My family is poor and my popularity is not good. My body is ill. My chicken is small. Don't catch me. Yekong turned around and ran. Haha, it's alright, my ancestors don't mind the villain. Huanquan turned into chasing the light ball. How big is this Lingtai? Yekong had to make a circle around the golden beam of light under the enchantment book. Since he asked for forgiveness, Yekong simply rebelled against his heart and cursed, old man, I am your fairy. I am kind to get you out, you go and will revenge. Your mother did not teach you Ji and Tu Bao. Did nt your mother have learned 5 lectures, 4 beauty and 3 loves? What the I really haven't learned it, haha, I have scolded Laozi a lot, the more I scold Laozi, the longer I live, hand over your body, Huanquan ancestor roared, speeding up. Come up. A white light ball flees in front, and a golden villain chases after him. For a time, it is hard to separate. Dog thief, I care about your mother, care about your family, and make your mother laugh. Yekong was so addicted that he couldn't beat him, so he scolded him. The ancestor of Huanquan didn't care, his heart was very angry. Damn, I hate people to greet my mother the most, and I will not swallow you immediately. After chasing for a while, Huanquan's ancestor stopped suddenly, dejected. Damn, with you asshole, Laozi has become stupid, this yellow light is not physical, I can go to catch you. After Huanquan's ancestors finished speaking, the small figure flickered into the golden beam of light under the curse book and rushed over. Yekong had no time to escape, and was caught by Huanquan's ancestors. Kang, there was a loud crash, and I saw Huanquan's ancestor's arm blocked by golden light. Not good, Huanquan's ancestor yelled, feeling wrong, but it was too late, and the golden light shot under the curse book turned out to be a transparent mask, which firmly sealed Huanquan's ancestor's baby. Stupid. What the are you doing? Why do people still have magic weapons in their heads? Huanquan ancestor asked, patting Jin Cancan's wall. Yekong was scared for the first time, and he looked at the Daquan with emotion. He didn't expect this book to have such wonderful effects. It seems that he has to thank the handsome guy who used the book to stop himself. What surprised Yekong more was that as soon as Huanquan's ancestor Yuanying was trapped, those auras sucked in by the small sword quickly flowed back, and Yekong's chi filled the sea. Ancestor Huanquan was anxious. Don't suck, don't suck. If you again, you will my aura. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 50. Chapter 49, Back Suction. Yekong went to observe the Reiki in Kikai, and found that it was true. Not only did his own Reiki come back, but then there was a steady stream of Reiki to follow up. Bachan is the Reiki of Huanquan's ancestors. On the second floor, how many levels would you jump if you had finished sucking an aura of Yuan period? Haha, what a blessing. Yekong laughed. Elder Huanquan, you are not kind, buddies are not righteous. You sucked me clean just now, it's my turn now, rest assured I won't leave you a little bit by bit. Huanquan's ancestor said anxiously, why do you want to die violently? Is it possible that none of us can survive? My rain fancy in the infant period, could you have finished the second floor of this refining period? Yekong was startled, and nodded. It's the same thing. Now I change my mind. I and stop, slowly, haha, ancestor, thank you ha. Huanquan's ancestor hated himself for reminding him, but then again, no reminder. Yekong was hanging, he had to hang, his Yuanying was trapped, and he could not escape. Yekong died of his body, and his Yuanying also died. It will die out. Okay, brother, yeah, my cultivation during the Yuan infants period was half lost when I put it in a magic weapon, and I consumed 9 out of 10 in the 100,000 year sleep, but that's enough for you. Ascended to the foundation. Hearing Zuji, Yekong was overjoyed. He is now refining the second floor of the gas, and once he builds the base, he jumps 8 levels. But Yekong is not stupid. Huanquan's ancestors would not kindly say this to himself, and asked, what conditions do you have? Huanquan's ancestors are, no matter how high their skills are, they can only smile at the moment, and please, Deo, you can't finish those skills, but if I do and return to the sword for a long time, those auras will disappear. No one can get it, I think. Since this is a misunderstanding, you might as well put me back into the sword, so that the aura is saved. You can come to at any time, and I do need to stay in your head. Yekong listened to it for a long time, and he understood it. It turned out that the old guy wanted to put him back into the small sword weapon. Elder Huanquan, just now I seem to have heard people swear that they will never return to the sword. Yekong sneered. Huanquan's ancestor's face changed, and he laughed again. Did I swear? Haha, do you believe this? I swear it's just like farting. Haha, Yekong laughed. Huanquan, old dog, do you think I'm stupid? Let you go back, I'll blame you for the next time and don't kill you. And, such a skill is so high with my guy by my side, I feel sleepless. Then I will teach you another way. You can cast a spell so that the prince who is out of control can't control the aura, so I can't deal with you. Yekong moved, speak and listen. After an hour, Yekong has completely learned this spell called Dinjing Mantra. Huanquan's ancestor laughed, then you can let me go back. But I still don't worry. Huanquan's ancestors became angry and shouted, you are so shameless. Why do you let me go back, and why do you learn my spells? Despicable, so despicable, do you just watch so many auras disappear? Those are enough to build your foundation. Yekong laughed, you are so anxious to go back, is it really for me? Since you want to let me all those auras, and still care so much. Anyone will be tempted in front of the huge pie, but I am it's better to eat a bite than to lose your life. Huang Quan's ancestors were completely helpless, ignoring Yekong, sitting alone in a golden beam of light, meditating cross-legged. In fact, Yekong was also very distressed. He couldn't wait to kill the old guy. Whether Huang Quan's ancestor was in the small sword or in his head, it was very dangerous. But he has limited strength now. Except for De Quan, he can trap Huang Quan's ancestors. It is almost impossible to kill him. This is why Huang Quan's ancestors didn't worry about himself at all. Yekong wanted to kill him. It was too difficult. No way, let him stay in his own head first. Fortunately, Yuanying is just a soul, he doesn't eat or drink, and he can't or pee, otherwise it's really disgusting. Yekong left his consciousness at Lingtai, and began to absorb the aura in the small sword intently. To say that this monk infancy was indeed full of aura and lost most of it. With only one fraction left, Yekong was killed. This sea of gas also has capacity, and every time it breaks through a level or realm, the sea of gas will increase its volume. If you change to another person, you don't have so much aura, and you are also owed to Yekong's practice of the 5 Elements Ascension Sutra, which is famous for its large amount of aura. It actually took half of the aura left by Huang Quan's ancestors. There is still half of the Reiki. Yekong can't breathe it in at all. His Ki has been stored in excess, and the ground is bulging. Even his limbs are full of Reiki, which is difficult to operate. Yekong is about to waste the remaining half. There is no way to waste it. It is better than leaving it to the enemy. The problem now is refining. The so-called refining is refining and purifying, removing impurities for the benefit of others. The material of Xianxia is to be refined, which is to increase the purity and remove impurities. The magic weapon is to be refined, which is to wipe away the godly knowledge left by the previous user, and exert more power when he uses it. Similarly, this aura that is sucked from others also needs to be refined. It is also the filtering of the remaining consciousness of the other side in the aura. For example, if you buy an old piece of clothing, we have to wash it and then wear it again. We also need to wash Reiki. Although this refining could not be completed in 3 days and 2 ends, it was also countless times faster than Yekong's own absorption of aura in the air. Yekong estimated that if these auras were refined, it would take a year. The time seems to be very long, but if you think about it, then at least 5 layers of gas refining will not feel long. If Yekong cultivates slowly, he will never get 5 layers of gas refining in 5 years. Yekong opened his eyes, looked at the small sword weapon in his hand, and unfortunately shook his head, and then put it in the storage bag. The aura in it was absolutely inhalable. When he spent a year refining the aura in his body, the aura in the small sword had long since disappeared. But when he put in the sword, Yekong suddenly noticed that there was still something in the storage bag. Run out of Reiki's spirit stone. The cultivator's bag is full of treasures. Even the used-up waste products are not willing to be thrown away. Even the spirit stones that have been drained of the aura, Fanjiji also treasured them. These translucent white crystals are there are 38 pieces. Can you put the remaining aura into the waste spirit stone first? This is a container for aura, and the spirit should not be lost in it so easily. Yekong was excited about this idea, and hurriedly brought a spirit stone and crossed into the unrefined aura. Try it, it works. However, unfortunately, the capacity of the spirit stone is really small. The aura in the spirit stone is precious and pure, winning by quality, not quantity. Let there be victory. Yekong filled the 38 spirit stones and took another small sword weapon, leaving half of the half and a quarter. He couldn't think of a way. Then there is only waste. You practice it. Sooner or later this ancestor broke your golden light and took your body, haha, you are all practicing for the ancestor, The laughter of Huang Quan's ancestor came from deep in my head. Is that right? Yekong sneered, you did not succeed in winning my house, then you have to return to your original house, and now the small sword weapon is your original house. If I destroy this small sword, then you drive out of my spiritual platform. Then I won't die, roared Huang Quan's ancestors. But you have become a lonely ghost, haha, I heard that many demon cultivators like refining souls, I think a Yuanying level soul, they will surely die. Before Yekong finished speaking, he heard the ancestors of Huang Quan yell, dare you? You. You are too inhuman. Too late to kill, then I changed my begging tone, Dao, actually stay, this ancestor is still very useful. If you are a beginner, you do not understand many places. If you find yourself consuming time and effort, if you have the help of your ancestor, you can do more with less. Yekong thought about it too. Now that he can't get rid of them, and can't kill Huang Quan's ancestors, why not use them? Okay, Yekong replied, if you really help me, in the future I will find you a good spiritual root cultivator for you to take away, but if you want to think of a ghost idea, I would rather die to drag you back. Huang Quan's ancestor answered quickly, you can rest assured, no, I swear. You swear is like farting. Huang Quan's ancestor smiled wryly. Anyway, I won't. We live together peacefully, love each other. Although Yekong is very reluctant to live with two people in his brain, he can only do so at present, and only think in a good direction. He is not clear about many things. Someone asks, that is also a good thing. My ancestor, ask you, how did you get into the magic weapon? Can all babies survive for 100,000 years so long? And yeah, where is the nearest Fang market here? Yekong questioned for a long time and could not get a response. He put the consciousness back to Lingtai, but found that Huang Quan's ancestor was already asleep. Damn, I woke up when I was in a fight, expecting him to help me answer a few questions and go to sleep, really a lazy donkey, Yekong cursed and laughed again. It's really a blessing today because of misfortune. If he refines his Reiki and can soon drive Fijian, then he can walk the rivers and lakes, haha, hurry up and refine Reiki. He didn't sit for a long time this time. In the early morning, he woke up by himself. Mother, I'm going to start retreat recently. I want to come out one day for 5 days. Yekong hasn't yet reached the state of valley protection, and eating once every 5 days is just fine. Oh, okay, you have to be careful yourself, do nt be hungry, do nt practice too hard, your mother will prepare some clothes for you to change, and dry food. If you re-hungry, you can make a hoe, and... No, I'm ready. Yekong quickly interrupted her endless nagging, and said, Mother, all you have to do is don't let people go to my room to harass me, those girls can push away and push go, my news of being an immortal must be kept secret, otherwise your son will be in danger, you know. Yekong intentionally said that it was scary, which caused her to pay attention. Chen Juniang laughed, I see, you're even more nagging than your mother. The mother and son were eating breakfast, and there was a voice of a girl outside, Aunt Chen, Master, you came early, haha, I don't know if I can meet Master 8. Here again Yekong took A and fled back to his room. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 51. Chapter 50. Ah, don't be busy flashing, let me look at the girl, the voice is crisp. Huang Quan did not know when he woke up, it seemed pretty good. What's so good, just the girl in the two houses. Yekong ignored him and walked back with a hoe. Huang Quan's ancestor said angrily, of course you don't matter. I haven't seen a woman for 100,000 years, 100,000 years, 100,000 years. Do you know how long 100,000 years are? You haven't seen the stool in 100,000 years? Would you like to see it? Yekong asked. Looking at your qualities, there is no culture at all. Huang Quan's ancestors were angry and stopped talking. Old ancestor, why did you get into the magic weapon? Yekong asked after returning to his house. Huang Quan's ancestors did not speak, and they still seemed unhappy. Hey, fell asleep again? Didn't sleep. Yekong put his consciousness into Lingtai and saw Huang Quan's ancestors awake. I can't see that you have a big temper. What do those girls have? Do you have that function? Huang Quan's ancestors said angrily, so I just have to take a look. This little requirement does not satisfy me, and I still want to ask this and that. No way. Don't ask, Lao Tzu doesn't ask you. Yekong was not so bad-tempered, and turned away from Lingtai. Because there are girls coming and going from time to time, he is not convenient to practice shadow dance, so he had to take out the blank paper in the room and try to draw magic charms. Although there is no material for magic charms now, let's increase our proficiency first. Seeing Yekong's drawing symbol, Huang Quan's ancestor sneered with a smirk, and didn't know what it was. Yekong ignored him at all. Brother Yekong. After a while, Lu Qin and Xiaohong got up again. Listen to the goddess, you're going to retreat? I'm here to tell you, you can rest assured, I won't let you bother you. The little girl was very sensible and also her people. Well, I have to rest for 5 days and rest 1 day. I want to practice a kind of unique martial arts. Don't let anyone steal it. Yekong's retreat is a cultivator. Of course Xiao Lucan knows the meaning, but Xiao Hong doesn't know it. She is shocked in her heart. Wow, he is really amazing. Master 8, I know you are annoyed with those girls, and I can drive them away. Xiao Hong volunteered and asked for help. Yekong Gong wanted to say yes. In his head, an old ancestor who had not spoken shouted, wow, this girl is good. I like it. This figure is so hot, you can't even cover her dress. Look at her egg, round and strong. Yekong suddenly felt very angry, although he did not want to be involved with Xiaohong, but Huang Quan's ancestor commented on Xiaohong so much, Yekong was still very unhappy. Yekong didn't say anything. Xiaohong didn't know what he was thinking, and went on to say, Master 8, if I came out to drive them out, they would definitely think that I also thought the same as them, fighting with them, and so. The little red talk is very vague, but the meaning is easy to understand. That is, when girls drive them away, they will think that I miss you too. So my reputation has been damaged, then you have to compensate me, preferably, just teach me what to do with a dog stick. Xiao Hong was saying that an ancestor in Yekong's head was also saying, wow, if you peel off this girl's shirt and rub it as much as you want, you can live for 3 years less. If you cut off her skirt, let this ancestor cool. Wow, I really want to get rid of her and use my whip. You say one more thing. I have fight with you. Yekong could not bear it, and finally roared. Huang Quan's ancestor, a BT fanatic, shut up obediently, but because Yekong roared, Xiao Hong was talking and could be scared. I don't say any more. I. Xiao Hong panicked, not knowing what she said wrong. How could she anger him? It seems that he is so angry that he is more angry than ever before and has suffered. I am afraid that I will end up worse today than Sister Ma. Little Master's life is because Xiao Hong is not sensible. Xiao Hong should take the initiative to share the worry for Master 8. She should not take advantage of the opportunity to blackmail. Master 8 is the only martial artist who learns it. Master 8 spares his life. Indiscriminate thinking. Shocked and scared, Xiao Hong knelt in front of Yekong while crying, holding Yekong's legs while crying. What are you doing? I'm not talking about you. Yekong finished, and found that there were only 3 people in the room, except Lu Hong, who was Lu Qin, and quickly said to Lu Qin, I'm not talking about you. I know you didn't say me, but Sister Xiao Hong is also kind, so you don't punish her for the first time. Lu Qin saw Yekonfa's fire and begged Xiao Hong. Ye Kong smiled bitterly. I didn't really say her. Ye Kong was sitting on a chair, and Xiao Hong knelt and shook his legs, shaking 3 times. Xiao Hong's full body plummeted just between Ye Kong's knees. With such a close distance, screaming appeals, and the beautiful face that looked up earnestly, Ye Kong suddenly thought of a girl who was kneeling in front of herself many years ago on the earth, while looking up. With a swing in Ye Hollow, the 2 knees couldn't help but close together, pinching Xiao Hong's body inside. Xiao Hong, I didn't really say you. Ye Kong's hand naturally rested on Xiao Hong's head. The clean, soft blue silk hair was very refreshing. Xiao Hong was scared by him, wiping tears and saying, Master 8, slaves are wrong. That's right, oops, I didn't really say you. Ye Kong's hand wanted to slide down Xiao Hong's smooth hair, suddenly remembering that Lu Qin was next to him. Turn around and look at the little girl. Fortunately, I didn't notice, he. Ye Kong said again, little red sister, I don't really lose my temper. Don't you want to learn martial arts? Don't talk about beggars playing dog sticks, it is to lower the dragon's 18 palms, and 9 yin white bone claws. Teach you, come, get up. Really, Xiao Hong looked up fiercely, but her eyes were rejoicing, but when she thought of Ye Kong's dog face that turned and turned, she lowered her head quickly. Slave didn't dare. When Xiao Hong lowered her head, the snow-like neck in the neckline made Ye Hollow move again. Come up, as long as you really help Master 8, he will teach you. Lu Qin came over, and she helped Xiao Hong. Thank you Master 8. Well, go and help me drive away those girls. I'm closed. You are fine, don't bother me. There's something for Xiaoqin to call me, and I will call you naturally when my skill is done. Xiao Hong originally thought that Master 8's temper was not as bad as the legend. When she saw it today, it was true, and she scared her a lot of caution. As soon as the 2 girls left, Ye Kong stuck Lingxi into the console, started the formation, and began to meditate. No wonder you have such a big fire. You turned out to like that girl too. Huang Quan's ancestor smiled strangely. I'm not, you talk nonsense. Cut, you can't bear to lose your hands, said Huang Quan's ancestor. But my ancestor hasn't had a woman for too long. If I had been a mortal woman, I wouldn't look at it. Tell you, my ancestor even the shadow beauty has played. Shadow clan, Ye Kong listened, noticed, and asked, hasn't the Shadow clan died 100,000 years ago? Unexpectedly, Huang Quan's ancestor asked back in surprise, is the Shadow clan already dead? Then he cried out with joy, wow! The Shadow clan is gone, and no one will kill me again. Haha! The Shadow clan chases you. Why did they chase you? Ye Kong asked curiously. Because, I made 2 beautiful clan beasts. Huang Quan's ancestor was obviously insincere. Ye Kong knew he wouldn't tell the truth when asked, so he laughed, bragging, shouldn't it be you who stole someone's things? Look at your poor land, there is no magic weapon in Yuanying period, and there are only a few relics left behind. Spirit Stone has a broken sword. Cut, see what you said, is that the storage bag you belong to me? Do you think I still use the storage bag in the middle of an infant? Huang Quan arrogantly recounted. At that time, I was besieged by 8 senior soldiers of the Shadow clan. My ancestors did not check for a while, and I was robbed of the storage ring. The rack was so dark that in the end, they were so many people. It was broken, but I still killed 2 Shadow clan warriors and escaped their siege. Who are you saying? Ye Kong ignored him and asked, who is the storage bag? The old ancestor of Huang Quan said, I happened to escape to that cave and found a barbarian cultivator. I happened to kill him and rob him of his stuff, but my physical body couldn't hold it anymore, so I had to use Yuanying and skill. It's all stored in that little garbage sword. It turned out to be this way. Ye Kong nodded, no wonder there is only this little thing in Huang Quan's ancestor's relic. Thinking about it, he asked again, can Reiki be stored in the magic weapon? Also, the Yuanying period is the Shao Yuan of 800 to 1000 years. Why can you sleep for 100,000 years? Because my ancestor was terribly shy, I'm really good at it obviously. Huang Quan's ancestor started to talk again, but Yekong couldn't force him to ask him. Well, you asked me so many questions, it's time for me to ask you a few questions. This time it was Huang Quan's ancestor to ask. Okay, you ask. In fact, Yekong himself has just set foot in Xianxia, and asking him is almost the same as asking about wood. Sure enough, he couldn't answer the first question. How did the Shadow Clan perish? I don't know. What is the situation in the Kangnan continent? This situation is complicated, and it's hard to say. Huang Quan's ancestors didn't answer the two questions that he was most concerned about. Then you always know what countries are in the Kangnan continent now, which country are you in, which are the Xianxianists, and how many Xianxian families are around. Oh, I know a little, Yekong said quickly. Our country is called Nguo, the emperor is called in Rushan, and there is another country called Wuguo. The Xianxian family behind it is unknown, but I know the north side. There is a Huangzhou, there is a Xianxian family called Wanjia. Anything else? Yekong blushed. That's all, I'm just beginning to practice, I'm so busy every day, how can I have so much time to do? I'm a low-level casual practitioner, can I dare to inquire? Where can I go? Yifang City doesn't know it. Nothing, you still have reason, Huang Quan sneered, and then sighed again, looking up at the golden book above his head, and said lightly, after all, the Shadow Clan was destroyed by the Northern Clan. How do you know? When you slept, the Shadow Clan was not extinct. Why do you say that the Shadow Clan was destroyed by the Northern Clan? Yekong asked curiously, because it was learned from Zhang Wu's mouth that the Shadow Clan's population was drastically reduced because of fighting with the demons, and then it was less and less because the clan had children, and finally died out in the long history. But Huang Quan's ancestors said that the Shadow Clan was destroyed by the Northern Clan.